Wandering Winder back for some more Dominion homework. This time we're talking about certain rushes. The original rush was Workshop Gardens. It's actually not very good. You can usually just beat it by ignoring what they're doing. Ironworks Gardens came a set later and is much stronger, so let's take a look at that first. With no support, obviously I have a kingdom full of support cards here, so that's not the most realistic thing ever. But for the Gardens version, you always want to be gaining a card every turn. So, I pick up a silver as it's better than the other thing. The goal is to empty Ironworks, Gardens, and Estates. Let's see. I cannot draw a Ironworks here, so I should take the Gardens. I can buy an Ironworks. And at this point, around when you have 6 Ironworks is roughly when you want to start gaining Gardens instead. Obviously, if you have multiple Ironworks, then you Ironworks and Ironworks first, and that's why you stop. You don't just pile drive the Ironworks first. And we see very quickly here that what ends up happening is, okay, here you hope that there's some action at all. And okay, in this case there is. And this is actually very fast for the Ironworks Gardens. Good luck. I typically, when I've tested this and I've done some testing, you typically are able to finish the game around turn 16 or so. So turn 15 happens sometimes, turn 16 happens a lot, turn 17 occasionally you're that slow. So I included Tower here. If we didn't have Tower, you'd see I just hit 40 cards. That's something you want to watch because occasionally you get under and you'd like to get 40 cards. So you have 32 points from your Gardens, you have 11 points from your Estates, that's 43 points. You can do the same thing with Silk Roads. Silk Roads, if you can get one Duchy, that's going to pop all your Silk Roads up a point. So depending on the situation, sometimes you want to try to be able to buy a Duchy at some moment, and so you watch out for that a little bit. Because if that was the case, then instead of being 4-point Silk Roads, you get 5-point Silk Roads. So you'd have 8 more points than this. You'd have 51. 51 is a lot, and it's hard to overcome just by going for provinces. But you do need to modulate a little bit depending on what your opponent is doing. Having said that, 50 or 40, if you wouldn't have Tower, you'd have 43 points in 14 turns and ending the game is quite good. But the average case of doing it on 16, it's okay, but there's a lot of times going to be something stronger. Even this, 43 on turn 14 is not unbeatable. There's other stuff that's faster than that sometimes. So let's talk about what helps these kinds of strategies, and that's villages is something that helps. Throne Room in particular is great. 3-cost villages. 4-cost villages don't help very much. They help a little bit, but they don't help a ton. Having a second, either Gardens or Silk Road, or even one of these action-y ones, so Island or Mill at this point, so that you can Ironworks those. That helps a lot. That helps you get more Ironworks first, because then you can, I have 10 Ironworks. I guess let's look at that next very quickly here. So because we're doing this, we're going to pile drive Ironworks first, and instead of going for Estates, we're going to go for Islands as our next pile. And we go harder for the Ironworks to start with. Okay, still going to go ahead and buy one of those. I think actually I still probably should have started getting Gardens a little bit before I did here, but this is okay. Sure, might as well set aside there. I should have Ironworks Gardens there rather than island, so I'll remedy that here. Again, if there's some cantrip here. And we could have been in a better position if we Ironworks the gardens before, but as you'll see here, we get to this, again, turn 14 more reliably, and we have more points from the islands. So that helps. Mills also help. Mills also get you more money and are thus for more useful than islands. So having both of these together or having tower as well helps, even if your workshop of choice isn't an ironworks. If both of these are together or you have tower, then that can be strong. If you have a village, that can be strong. So let's take a look at fishing village, along with the throne room, are some of the best villages here. Um, as we're going to see here. So if we have these instead, then then we can also be in an okay position. And what of these is easier to end at this point? It's estates, so we're going to go after estates. Um, and again, you see we get here, actually not quite on turn 14. But having a village also helps, basically, is the other point. Tower, you can do an Ironworks rush with tower as well. It gives you somewhat fewer points, but hopefully the other things, the other actions you're gaining are also useful, and that goes in with the tower stuff that we looked at last time. You can do it with other workshops if you have the village support as well, but you really need the village support, and the other workshops are almost never going to be as good as Ironworks for this. So basically you're kind of looking at a 3-card combo, but for all 3 of the cards there's some wiggle room in terms of categorization. So Ironworks effect, village effect, points that are good is kind of the 3 cheap points that are good, which is kind of the 3-card combo with varying degrees of power based on the varying things that are there. Some villages are better than other. Having not everything cost 4 helps. Some some points are better than others. The last thing I want to note, though, is this is all solitaire. In a real practical game, well, you can incorporate this kind of thing with a little bit of other building that you might be doing. Getting some draw, can help this kind of deck as well. But the last thing I want to note is that in a real game, your opponent is probably at least partially depleting some piles, so you can go after those as your third pile as well, especially if they're at least partially useful to you. But usually, your opponent's going to be getting 3-4 copies of or more of some action card that if you gain that, you can play it more as a rush and be a little bit faster. So this is not the most powerful combo faster, but it is something that's nice to be aware of, and that's why you're doing some more Dominion homework by watching this. And thanks for watching.